So Quilty Life, welcome back to my channel. I am so happy you are here. I've got a fun video for you today, so let's dive in. Today I will be talking about the new 2023 Year of Spools July block. Woo! I'm so excited for this block, guys. This is a lot of fun to make, and it's patriotic, and who doesn't love patriotic things, right? So for my idea and inspiration for this block, I was thinking back to my childhood with a really iconic summer snack that I loved, the bomb pops. They're also known as firecracker pops, and I actually did a little bit of research on this to find out more about them, and I'll link that in my blog post below. I wrote a little bit of history on them, and I thought it would be so fun to make spool popsicle holders. Oh my goodness, we can all relate. We're getting completely sticky blue lips, sticky fingers, and everything while we eat our popsicles. They melt so fast in the hot summer sun. So I thought it'd be really cute to make spools with popsicles. So there are a couple of things with this block. You may have seen on my Instagram, I posted the alternate block, which is this one down here, and it spells out the word sun. And the main block is actually the one that spells out USA and our bomb pops. But in this pattern and in the back of the pattern, I show you different types of popsicles you can make, as well as maybe you don't want to put the letters in there, and I give you the size of what it would be to put a solid piece, or maybe you don't want to do a 3-colored popsicle and you want to do one. So guys, the possibilities with this pattern is truly endless. So I hope you enjoy making this. I am so excited. Here is my block, the USA block. It turned out super cute. And again, at the end of the video, I will show you the sun block, as well as you can check out my Instagram to see more. But I am so obsessed. I chose to use all fabric from my stash. This Year of Spools block of the month really is meant to be a stash buster. So I actually will have a blog post going out with what you really will need for your background fabric requirements for each block, because I know a lot of you will be using, you know, actual solid background fabric, and you may not have a lot and you want to buy some. So keep a lookout for that blog post. I will link it below. So I just used a lot of my stash. Again, mostly fig tree. We've got some Bonnie and Camille here, and we've got some Sherry and Chelsea, Sincerely Yours here. But other than that, this is all fig tree. So I've got a nice little stash of fig tree, and it really makes for the beautiful blocks. I have decided that I am going to make my entire quilt using fig tree and remake some of the other blocks that I've done that wasn't in fig tree yet, so that my final quilt has the same look and using a lot of the similar fabrics. So the fabric requirements for the block can be found on the cover of your pattern. So go ahead, dig in your stash, find your favorite colors, choose which block you want to make, and let's go ahead and get started. Again, this pattern can be found on my website at mysoquiltylife.com. It is a PDF pattern only that you can print out, or you can work from the PDF while you're making the block. Don't forget, while you're making your block, to share using hashtag #SoYummyBlock. Okay, so I went ahead and laid out all of my pieces on my design boards. Again, these are just foam core boards that I hot glued some batting to. So super simple. You can kind of see a little bit of the foam core board here. So I love to make these to keep me organized. So I went ahead and labeled each of my pieces using my alphabetes. I really love these alphabetes from Fat Quarter Shop. I know I say it in my videos all the time, but these are a huge lifesaver, and they are cute. And all I do is cut out each of my pieces and I label them. So I love to have some sort of organization when I am sewing, going from my sewing machine to my ironing and back and forth, so that I don't lose or misplace or, sew a piece incorrectly. So go ahead and cut out all your pieces according to the cutting instructions under the block on page 1. I will be showing you how to make the USA So Yummy block in celebration for Independence Day on 4th of July. If you're in America, you celebrate that holiday. And in the back of the pattern, I do have an alternate block that I know you've all seen before on my Instagram. It is the same block, it just spells out sun. So be sure to check out the back of the pattern for that alternate block. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started on step 1. For step 1, we are just drawing diagonal lines on all of our squares listed in step 1. So we need to draw diagonal lines on fabric E, fabric J, just 12 of them, for fabric O. So in the diagram, I am creating 2 red letters. They are for the U and A, but I'm using 2 different fabrics for each of those. So just pay close attention. The letters are the same for the same sizes for those reds. And then fabric S squares. So our fabric S squares. And what you're going to do is just draw a diagonal line on the back. I use, which I always mention in my videos, I love using this diagonal seam tape from Cluck Cluck Sew on my machine. So I don't actually draw my diagonal lines anymore unless my piece is a lot larger. But what I'll do is I'll line up my corner on my sewing machine with that red line and then sew down and make sure that I'm constantly on that red line when I hit that corner. But if you do not have this, I do recommend it. I love this. If you do not have this, you can definitely use a friction pin. Sometimes people will use a pen or any type of marking device. I like a friction pin so that it goes away with heat. So you just draw your diagonal line. So if you don't have diagonal seam tape, go ahead and draw your diagonal line according to step 1, and we will move on to step 2. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to step 2. So for step 2, we do need our little popsicle guys. So we need fabric K, T, and P. So if you look in your instructions, those are just your popsicles. For my reds, I did 3 different, and so as well as my low volume and my blue. So feel free to change it up a bit and do what you would like, or completely change it up and use your favorite colors. So what we're gonna do first is just assemble these 3 together. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I will put them on a smaller design board. I love having smaller design boards. So I'm gonna go ahead and put them here, and then you're just going to press according to the instructions. The instructions have you pressing out away from the fabric, the low volume fabric T. So I'm just going to move those letters. Okay, so I will be right back after I assemble these seams. Okay, so I just got done with step 2 and I assembled fabric K, T, and P. So on to step 3, we just need our fabric E squares, and these should have the drawn diagonal line on the back of them. Only one of mine will, the rest won't, but yours should. Okay, so this is kind of where you're gonna make a decision. In the pattern, show all the reds on the top and all the blues on the bottom. You could do something fun and change it up like this, or put all blues on top, or like this. But I'm gonna keep it to a true bomb pop, and I am going to have my reds on top like the pattern. So what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna assemble our fabric E squares on the top corners. So again, if you did decide to rotate it for the blue to be on the top, just make sure that you are assembling your fabric E squares correctly where you would like them. So you're gonna assemble fabric E, sew on the diagonal line, trim off 1/4 inch, and then you're gonna press towards fabric E. So I will go ahead and do that, and I will be right back. Okay, I just finished with step 3, and here we have our T units. So in each of the steps at the end, I always tell you what your unit should measure. So I did go ahead and trim a little bit of mine, just some of that excess that might have been on the edge, any strings hanging off. Anytime you do a stitch and flip corner like this, you might have just a little bit that sticks out. And this pattern, you don't have to make sure this matches up and lines up with anything, so it's fine if you're off a little bit. But just be aware, in some patterns, those might need to nest into other seams. So just be mindful of that before you do make any trimming, because you might need to unpick your seams and resew it. So let's move on to step 4. So for step 4, we need our fabric D rectangles. So we've got our D's here. D rectangles. And we need our fabric U, little popsicle sticks. So our fabric U is our popsicle sticks. I'm gonna set these pretty guys aside. Oh my gosh, this is making me want a bomb pop right now. Do you guys still eat bomb pops? They are good, especially when it's hot outside. It is not hot here. It is kind of chilly, and it's been raining for the past 5 days. And so we've gotten lots of rain, lots of inches. I think like already like 6 inches, which is crazy. Our pond is flooding, our roads were flooding, just it's crazy here. Okay, so step 4, we're just assembling our fabric D rectangles to our fabric U, like that. And then you're gonna press towards fabric U, and I will go ahead and do that, and I will be right back. Okay, I just got done with step 4, and here we have our 3 U units. So now for step 5, we are just taking our U units and our T units, so our popsicles, and we are just assembling them like this. Super simple. These steps are super simple. And then we're going to press towards the T unit, and we will have our popsicle unit. I will go ahead and do that, and I will be right back. Okay, I just finished step 5, and here we have our 3 popsicle units. Here are 3. Now, this would be an adorable pattern by itself. Without the spools, just as popsicles, you could do so many different things. I know there are a few popsicle patterns out there, but you could really take this pattern and turn it into a popsicle pattern without the spools. So it could be a lot of fun. I might do something. Maybe I'll have to think about it. Maybe I'll do some sort of cute pattern where you take your popsicles and maybe rotate them, put one here, put them there, and make a placemat or a table runner, and maybe release that on my blog. Don't hold me to it. I am super busy, totally busy. I just come up with all these ideas that I'm trying to do, and half of them don't get done because of everything that I already have to do. So don't hold me to that. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move these up to my design board. I'm not sure how I had these originally, but it's okay. We can move them in a little bit. Oh, that's gonna look so, so good. I'm so excited. Okay, so moving on to step 6, we need our fabric V's. So our fabric V rectangles and some of our fabric J. And what we're going to be doing, and again, this is with every spool video that I've done, we are doing a top and a bottom. You're just going to be assembling your fabric J squares on your V rectangles. Now, this time, I chose directional fabric. Sometimes I don't. So honestly, it doesn't really matter how you stitch those. If they're not directional fabric, you don't have to worry. You can stitch them all on the same side, all 6 of them, and then flip when you're ready to put them into the block. But Heather decided today she was going to make it complicated and use directional fabric. Lucky me. So I have to make sure that I do have my fabric J squares on the right sides, or else I will have this cute little thing upside down, which if that happens, I'm not really one to fix a lot of things. I know it could bug a lot of you, so I'll try really hard not to do that. But okay, so all we're going to do is assemble like the diagram shows, and then press towards our fabric J, and then we will move on to step 7. You will have one extra J. This is for one of the letters, so don't throw him away. So we'll put him to the side with his little letter back up on our design board so we don't forget him. So I will go ahead and do that, and I will be right back. Okay, I just finished with step 6, and I think I have them all correct. We will see. So here's a bottom. Here's a bottom, top. Ooh, all right. Yay, that's exciting. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's move on to step 7. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this to the side. For step 7, we need 1 H, so 1 fabric H. And we need our fabric O's. Now we want to make sure that we're just using the same 2 fabric O's that are for this same block that we are doing. So we are doing block U. So what we're going to do is these should have your diagonal lines drawn on the back. is we are going to place them on fabric H and sew on our diagonal line. So I will go ahead and do that, and I will be right back. Okay, I just finished with step 7, and here we have our H unit. It's probably hard to see on that white on white. Now, this is small. These letters do require a lot of small pieces. So if you are not a fan of small pieces, or maybe you're a beginner and don't really have the desire to make small pieces or work with them yet, go ahead and turn to page 3. So on page 3, I have a little diagram. I'll try to show you. I have a little diagram here that shows them with plain fabric instead of letters. So you don't have to make these letters to spell USA if you don't want to. You can totally just use a piece of print fabric in the spools. Okay, so now let's go ahead and move on to step 8. Now step 8, there are a lot of different essential steps in step 8, so sub-steps. So this helps condense the pattern so it does not become a book. So what we're going to do first is, with the same fabrics, we are going to be taking our letter M rectangle, our 2 L rectangles, 2 G rectangles, and 2 F rectangles. All right, having these marked really helps for me to be able to pull from correctly. Easy peasy. Okay, so we're going to be making our U. So in the instructions, I have a black arrow with a number. That means that is the order you sew your seams in. So you'll see the 1. So for instance, the first one is assembling this piece G to this piece M. Once you have pressed in the direction of the black arrow, our next step is to assemble this fabric G rectangle to that. 3 is assembling this bottom H unit to that. And 4 is assembling this fabric L. 5 is this fabric L. And finally, 6 and 7 are these 2. So just go slow, follow each of the arrows with the numbers as if they were a separate step. So look closely in the diagram, find number 1, and go ahead and start with that. So I'm going to go ahead and do all of those steps. What are there? 7 different steps in the one step, and I will be right back with my finished letter U unit. Okay, I just finished with my letter U unit, so here it is. It turned out super cute. I love it. So if you're still struggling with small pieces or you're scared to try, I invite you to check out one of my latest blog posts called My Top 10 Tips for Sewing or Working with Small Pieces. There are some really good tips like how to maybe finger press instead of actually press first so you're not pulling your fabrics, how to use a stiletto, just a bunch of different things that will help you feel confident when working with small pieces. Okay, so now what we're going to do is assemble one of our V top units and V bottom units to our letter U unit. So you will want to make sure that you are lining up your seams. So this edge right here on this diagonal should line up perfectly to your edge of this red fabric here. So go ahead and do that, and I will be right back. Okay, I just finished with step 9, and here I have my super cute U spool unit. This turned out so good. I'm so excited. My seams line up. I will have to show you when I do the next one, my trick to getting those to line up perfectly. It's something I learned from Kimberly at Fat Quarter Shop, and it has been a lifesaver for these spools because I know that I'm not always the best at accuracy, and I fake it. I honestly do. Sometimes it's not right. Sometimes my blocks won't measure exactly right, but I have learned tips and tricks along the way to kind of fudge it a little, if for lack of better words. I know that sounds so bad, but this turned out good, and I will show you my little tip. I have showed it before, but I will actually show you again on this video. Okay, so I'm gonna put this fabric U not fabric U, not fabric U, guys. This is now our spool U unit. And as you can see, I got these a little mixed up, and I don't want my fabrics to be the same. So you can see how these are the same. So if you are like me and don't want them to be the same, go ahead and arrange them now so you will not accidentally make them the same. So there we go. That's our U. So now we're going to go ahead and make our S. This one has a little bit of different pieces, but we're just going to go step by step and get it done. So we need our fabric H rectangle, and we need 2 of our fabric S squares. And again, according to the diagram, you should have a diagonal line on the back of your fabric S, and you're going to sew on that diagonal line and press towards fabric S. And then I want to go ahead and kind of batch a couple steps for us. So we will also need 2 of our fabric I rectangles. So here's 2 of them, and 2 of our fabric S squares. And what we're going to do is place them on the top corners and sew on our diagonal line. Something I like to do in order to get through my patterns and blocks quickly is well, first of all, I do chain piece a lot when I can, but I will also batch steps. As long as it's not confusing me when I'm down at my sewing machine, I will take my instructions there with me. But these 2 are super simple. We can batch assemble them. So go ahead and batch assemble your 10 and 11s, and I will be right back. Alrighty, so I have finished step 10. So now we have our S unit, so like that. And then I also finished step 11. So now I have 2 I units. So now the stitch and flip corners are done. So for this block at least. So now we're gonna go ahead and assemble the letter S unit. So we will need fabric I. We will need 2 fabric R's. We will also need, we would just need our S unit and our I unit. Guys, it's been a day. Okay, so let's go ahead and lay it out. So we have our R and our I, and then we also have our R and I, and our I unit and our I unit. So you can kind of see how that's taking shape here. Okay, so again, there are a lot of different steps within this step. I don't know how else to say it, but we're gonna start with number 1. You can see number 1. So we're gonna start by assembling these 2 together. Then step 2, we're gonna assemble this I unit to those 2. Step 3 is assembling this S unit to that. And step 4, assembling the I to R, and then assembling our other I unit, and then lastly assembling them all together. Just go slow, just pay attention to the numbers with the pressing arrows and you'll be just fine. So I'm gonna do all of that and I will be right back. Okay, I just finished step 12, so here is my little S, and now we're going to move on to step 13. So for step 13, I kind of broke this out. In the previous letter, I had you do this all at once, but I didn't want to overwhelm you, and the diagrams are a little small. You probably wouldn't have seen it. So for step 13, we are just placing our remaining fabric Q with 2 of our fabric F, like this. So this creates that inside of the spool, and you're gonna assemble according to the instructions, again with the numbers with the pressing arrows. So I will go ahead and do that, and then I'll be back to show you my little tip for sewing those little spool tops and bottoms. Okay, I just finished with the letter S unit. So here we have our letter S unit. That is so cute. Lots of little small pieces, but you know what? It'll be just fine. Okay, so I told you I would show you exactly how I do the assembling the spool top and bottom here. So these are called the V top and V bottom. So like I said before, we need this diagonal line to nest up perfectly. And if you followed my pressing instructions, you were pressing towards your darker fabric. So I pressed when I assembled these two pieces together, I pressed towards the blue here, and then I pressed out towards fabric E, if you remember. So here is my tip. So actually, you could probably, what I do is I could probably line it up like this and be like, okay, that's probably good enough. And it honestly probably is, but then I would hate to completely sew this seam just to open it up and learn that my seams were not nested. So here's what I do. I take it and I will kind of put my fingernail, I'll put it on there and put my fingernail on where I think it would meet up at 1/4 inch. And then I look. That's pretty good. You can kind of see, if I can open it up, that is pretty good. Oh, can you see that? That's pretty good. So what I do is I'm at my machine when I do this, so I'll have to walk over to my machine and probably readjust. But I will go ahead and stitch just right there. Then I'll open it up and look at it, and if I'm satisfied with it, I will move on to the next part. If I'm not, I'm only picking out a couple of stitches. I'm not picking out the entire length of the entire seam. So after I've done that, then I will go to the next one. This one is stitched now, so I don't have it stitched right now, so it won't hold, but I will go to the next one and I will also look. And that is pretty good too. So I'm gonna go ahead and assemble this one just how I would and just sew right here and here, and I will be right back to show you. Okay, I'm back to show you. Okay, so I'm gonna try to get real close here, guys. I just assembled right there a little bit and stitched right here a little bit. So this is open. So this is open right now. So I'm flipping it open to see how that looks. That looks pretty darn good there. And that looks pretty darn good there. So what I will do now is I will start back up here and I will assemble all the way down to kind of lock in those stitches. You could back stitch here and here while you're doing these original seams, but I never do. Now, sometimes you might have a little bit of some extra fabric here. You might see that when you do this. All you have to do, as long as it's not more than 1/4 inch, all you have to do is just give it a little tug to be a little tight. So mine was pretty good. Mine lined up pretty good here and here. So I would call that success, but sometimes I don't. Sometimes I have to give this a little tug. And as long as you're not pulling too hard, you won't be ripping out or stretching these seams here. So you don't want to stretch the seams enough to where those start popping open, the seams in here, whatever is in here. But this is just a tip I like to do. And honestly, I did not like making these spools until I started doing this. So I've never been able to accurately match up my points like that ever. So until I started doing this technique. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble again all the way down, and then I'm going to assemble this and we will move on to step 16. Okay, so I thought I would show you this because I don't feel like my last example really worked, since it was like, in my eyes, pretty darn perfect. So I just assembled, like I did, those little stitches there and there. And you can see that when it is flat, you see how it's not flat. So what I need to do when I get to my machine and I sew the line, I need to pull it flat so it sews flat. Did you see that? So right now, if it's sitting here, see how this one is flat when it's sewn? This one is not. We've got this little, I mean, that's not a good angle either, but we've got this little bit of excess here, so it's not laying flat. When I do assemble again, I'm just going to pull a little tight, just a little tight, not anything crazy, just to make it relaxed and sew flat. So you might come across that too. Don't be alarmed. Now, if I had a lot here, I would probably remake these V units, but since it's not a lot, I'm just going to pull it tight and it'll be just fine. Alrighty, so here is my S spool unit. I keep getting all the names mixed up. I name these so that they're easy to label in the pattern. I'm always like, it's the S unit, it's the spool S, it's the S spool unit. Oh my goodness, it is a mouthful. Okay, so just finished with step 17. So this is looking good. So excited. So let's see, do I like him there? Let's see. I mean, the U has to stay, but maybe I will change this since this blue and this blue are close. Maybe that looks better. We'll see what the last letter, the A, looks with this, and then I might commit to this, but I don't have to commit yet. So let's pull that down or up. Let's get that out of the way. And let's go ahead and start on our letter A with step 18. So for step 18, we need our last remaining letter H. And we need our 2 matching O's. So this one's easy. We are just sewing on our diagonal line and pressing towards fabric O. So I will do that and I will be right back. Okay, I just finished the H unit, easy peasy. Now let's go ahead and move on to step 19. This one's a little more simpler. So we're gonna put our H unit like this. We are going to get our last remaining O. This is just inside. We're gonna get our last remaining J, our fabric N, and 2 fabric G's. And we are going to again follow the order of the number. So I'm going to go ahead and do that first with assembling. I'll show you first. I don't know, can you see the white fabric on this design board? It's probably not the best. So we're going to start by assembling our fabric O to J. Then we're going to assemble those to our fabric N. Then we're going to assemble our fabric G's. And lastly, our H unit. So I will go ahead and do that and I will be right back. Okay, here we have our step 19 letter A unit. Again, I don't know if you can see that. I think you can see that just fine. Okay, so now we're going to move on to step 20. For step 20, we need our letter A unit, our 2 L units, and our remaining F units. You should have no more small pieces left on your design board. All you should have is fabric A, B, and C. So I'm going to go ahead and put my alphabeties away, because I'll lose them. These little guys will fall somewhere and get lost. I already lost the O, so I've been using the 0. I don't know if you noticed that, but I'll just stick them in here. Again, love these things. I'll link them below so you can find these, because these are a lifesaver. Love them. They're reusable. Just toss them back in the package and I'm ready to go. So go ahead and assemble your fabric L's to your A unit, then your F's. So, and then press according to the instructions. So I will do that and I will be right back. Alrighty, I just finished with step 20 and here I have my letter A unit. For 21, we are again just sewing the V top and the V bottom to our letter A. So I will go ahead and do that. I will be right back. Alrighty, I just finished with step 21 and here I have my A spool unit. Yay! I'm so excited. So now we are just about done. Now we just have to sew it all together, which is the fun part. I like really love this. This is so cute. I just thought of an idea I could do. I could totally, if I could figure it out, I could totally make these little spools, maybe a little bigger, but spell the words S-E-W in them and make a really cute wall hanging. I'll have to see if I have time to do something like that and put it out there. If not, it'll just be an idea that I can save for next time. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to step 22. Step 22 is really where you're going to look at how you like your placement of your popsicles with your spools. So I think this looks really good. I kind of like how this looks. I like how this looks. I really like how this blue, it's pretty much the same blue, is not dominating this letter, because I do have this blue almost not touching but close to the blue. So I really like that. I think this looks great. I think, you know, no fabrics are the same or touching. Like these two are the same fabrics. Not that I really care, to be honest, but these are the same fabrics, just different colors. They're not touching. I think this looks really good. So, all right, are we ready? Let's go ahead and assemble our popsicle units to our letter USA. Yes, all right, so I'm gonna do that and I will be right back. Okay, I'm so excited. Just finished step 22 and assembled my popsicle to my spool units. I'm so excited to get this block done. I seriously love this block. I think it is so adorable. Okay, so for step 23, we are on the home stretch. We need our fabric C rectangles and we are just going to be assembling them to the blocks like this. So I will go ahead and do that and press towards fabric C and I will be right back. Okay, we have one more step. Are you ready to see the cute little popsicle spool unit? It is so adorable. Okay, like I said, we have one more step. Now, this is a 12.5 inch unfinished block, 12 inch finish. So if you wanted to not put your borders on yet, or put this into a different quilt, you totally can. You do not need to do this final step. But for the last step, we are assembling our fabric B rectangles to the sides and our fabric A rectangles to the top and bottom. So here we go, just like this. So I will go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back to show you my finished block, as well as show you the other really cute block I made and other popsicles that you can make with other ideas. So I'll be right back. Okay, are you ready to see my final block? This, guys, this is so stinking cute. I'm so in love. Okay, here we go. Here is my so yummy block, and it is yummy. Let me tell you, I really want a popsicle now. So beware, if you make this block, you might want to stock up on some popsicles. If you want a different look, or you want to make this again completely different, you can just put solid fabric inside your spools. You do not need to do the letters at all. Customize it, make it your own. You could even put, you know, a smaller, if you do like smaller piecing, you could put a smaller star in here. You could put some stripes. You could put a pinwheel or half square triangle, whatever you would like. The possibilities are endless with this. But I did add in the instructions on page 3, just under step 24, what this would need to be cut out at the dimension for you to be able to do that. So if you like this block, you're gonna love the other block. So I thought it would be fun to do another block. So I spelled out the word sun using the letter S, the letter U that we already have in our USA. But then I thought it would be fun to flip the U unit and make an N. Isn't that fun? I don't know. I don't know if that's fun, or if you're like, sun, why would you put sun? It's just so I could use the same letters that were already in the pattern and come up with something different. So for this one, I did include instructions in the pattern for it. You can see those on page 3. I did do a completely different cutting instructions for this, just because on the USA block, we are doing the U and the A with red. And then here I thought it'd be fun to do 3 different colors for the spool blocks. So on there you can look on page 3 and 4 for those cutting instructions. And then I just go down telling you step 1, what to draw the diagonal lines on, because those will be different. And then following steps 2 through 5 on page 1 to make the popsicle units, just like we just did with the USA block. And then again, step 3, just making your V tops and bottoms, and then making each of your letters, and then sewing it all together to get this cute block. Again, you can also just make this one solid fabric. I have those dimensions in the instructions as well if you want your popsicle to be one fabric. But I wanted to show you, so this pattern, you have these 2 options you can make with it. Those, oh, I cannot get over how adorable this block is. It's gonna look so cute in my final quilt. But I thought I would show you a couple other options you can do. You could totally pick any flavor you want. So you can make a watermelon crush popsicle. So I just did solid fabrics in there because I don't have anything that you would maybe spell out for a watermelon one. Maybe you could do the letter sun, that would work. And then, so I did solid fabrics in those, in each of those, but then also you can make your popsicles cotton candy. Oh, cotton candy is good. And then an orange creamsicle. So those are just some different varieties that you can make. Again, you could totally just make the popsicles and turn those into a quilt. So the possibilities are truly endless with this pattern. Okay guys, I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Again, you can find the Year of Spools July block on my website at mysoquiltylife.com. Don't forget to check out the fun blog post that I have sharing the history on Bomb Pops. And don't forget to check out my new blog post that goes over all things Year of Spools block of the month. Frequently asked questions, fabric requirements if you're a quilt shop, how you can get your hands on these patterns for next year, and just everything about it. So go ahead and click the description below and click that link to head to that blog post so you can read up on that. So again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please, please, please like, share, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already so you don't miss out on my other videos. Also, feel free to leave a comment below letting me know which block you're going to make. I will link everything mentioned in this video below in the description. So I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.